Jamal.
Thank you. Could you just set out your views on whether trans women should be on female prison wards? And also, do you agree with Trump's deadline for Putin? And do you think Putin should abide by it? Thank you.
Well, I think Donald Trump believed that his negotiating skills would enable him to get Mr. Putin to the table and strike a reasonable deal. Since that time, Putin has showed how completely, wholly unreasonable he is in every single way. So we'll see what happens with those negotiations. Well, when it comes to trans women in prisons, you know, isn't it interesting that we run our country with people who become ministers, who generally have absolutely no idea of the subject matter that they're talking about? I've personally never worked in a prison, so I can't answer it, but I think you'll find that the answer that you'll get from somebody who has worked in prisons at the highest possible level is, I think basically it's about risk assessment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we all know what the law is. I'm not going to go back over that yet again. But to my mind, everybody who is in prison deserves to be treated with humanity and decency. And that includes female prisoners, and it includes trans prisoners. You know, everything in the prison service is risk assessed. And I am sure that the prison service will tie itself up in knots over the trans issue, just like many other public sectors have. And as Nigel said earlier, you know, we are at the beginning, and that is something that we will need to speak about clearly.
Yeah, but in terms of the problems in prisons, it's a relatively small one.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Tony Diver, Telegraph.
Thank you. Ms Farage, Vanessa Fakes said that the UK should build US-style supermax prisons. As I'm sure you know, they are the most expensive prisons to build and run, which is one of the reasons that we don't have them. Have you considered how we might afford to build and run them? Your costing document that you've released suggests costs of prison building are far smaller than that. And is there a danger here that you're making a lot of promises to voters that you couldn't possibly afford to?
No. We laid out very clearly a plan. This is week 3 of the campaign, and we laid out very clearly a plan. I was asked about the cost of that plan, to which I said, I think on the day, how can we afford not to do this? Now, the supermax prisons, have we costed it? Have we thought it through? It's a debate. The point about this task force is we're starting a debate, and we'd rather like it to become a full public debate too.
Can I also say, I didn't say we should build supermax prisons. I actually said a supermax regime. There is a totally different thing. And converting part of our high security estate into a supermax wing would be relatively easy.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed. Aubrey Allegretti from The Times.
Thank you. Hello. Sorry, hovering in the corner here. It's standing room only. Aubrey Allegretti from The Times. Can I just press you a little bit further on Natasha's question? She was asking whether police forces should be obliged to publish the details of people who've been arrested and charged. I think you were basically suggesting that you thought that was right, but can I just get your confirmation that you definitely think?
Yes, I absolutely think that they should, and I think particularly given there's a pretty febrile atmosphere around these areas, particularly sexual assaults and rapes, you know, where the temperature on this debate has risen significantly. Yes, I do believe they should.
Thank you for that clarity. Can I just ask one more as well?
Go on then.
Thank you. You said that you wanted to detain all small boat arrivals.
Yeah.
Where are you planning to put them?
We're going to have to use military bases. We're going to have to move very, very quickly to do it. Believe me, we're not going to have this problem. Once people know that it's not a free trip coming into the United Kingdom, they will stop coming, and they'll stop coming within a fortnight. Right, Caitlin Doherty from PA.
Hi, I think it was Mr Sutton mentioned prisoners being released after a certain period of their sentence, 40%, 50%. Can I take it from that under a reform government, all prisoners would serve 100% of
I think you're asking me to. I think you're asking us to put out an election manifesto. So last I understood, I think the election's 4 years away, and I think what you can see we're doing here is we're building a team of people with great experience in their areas. And I would argue that to have, you know, to have Vanessa, Colin and Rupert on this platform with me today shows you that in terms of policy development, we want to go to people who've succeeded in those areas themselves. And you never know, we may even have ministers in the next government who have never been politicians in their lives but know the subject matter about which they speak.
Does Reform currently have a policy about whether prisoners will be able to serve any of their sentence on licence?
Well, we basically think people should serve their sentences, yes, otherwise what's the point of the whole thing? Right, let's go to Christian Calgie Express.
Morning. Vanessa has said this morning that we need to be better with rehabilitation, but you've said that you'd send violent offenders to El Salvador who have a very different approach to...
Nice try, but go on,
so
keep
I
going.
just wanted to get a broad...
Do enjoy yourself.
Philosophical view. Are you carrot or stick when it comes to prisoners? And Vanessa, I wondered, obviously we're at the start of, as Nigel keeps saying, a policy review process, but could you talk a bit about the issue of Islamist influences within prisons and how big an issue that is and how you might start to deal with that?
Okay, Christian, perhaps you weren't at the last press conference. You missed it. Well, there you are then. I made it perfectly clear that when people make mistakes in life and get into trouble, that the absolute primary goal should be their rehabilitation. Absolutely. That is what we want to do. We don't want people repeat offending and finishing up in prison, you know, for the bulk of their adult lives. So actually, you know, it's both a carrot and stick, isn't it? It's to show first-time offenders that there is a better life, there is a better way. If we were able to perhaps encourage people, inspire people to learn new skills, but you know, there comes a point, and I think Vanessa made that clear, where sometimes with people you can't, and society needs to be protected from them. Vanessa, would you talk about the rise of Islamism, please, in British prisons?
Yes, I think without a doubt there is a rise of Islamist gangs within prison, and it is very difficult to manage them. You know, at Wormwood Scrubs, as the head of security, I had to take the decision to split our Friday night or Friday afternoon service for Muslims in two, because we had about 400 prisoners that wanted to attend their service, and you know, it's a constant battle, because you know, we all know prisons have no spaces, so it's where once it was easy to transfer prisoners out to different prisons, it's not so easy now. And you know, I think that we have to be mindful. Yeah, there are a rise of Islamist gangs within our jails, and we have to deal with that, and deal with it short and sharp.
Thank you. Tim Shipman, Spectator.
I wasn't actually expecting that, Nigel. So.
Well, you're on the list. I mean,
can you talk to us about your impressions of the public reaction to all this? What sort of? I remember you saying a few months ago that you were getting less abuse on the streets. Are you now detecting a warmth over these issues towards you that you weren't detecting before? And have you noticed, now that these issues have turned to matters of sexual assault, that you're getting more women and mothers talking about it to you when you go out and about?
yes is the answer to that, very, very clearly. And it was interesting, wasn't it, to see the protest, the very peaceful protest of the women dressed in pink that were outside Canary Wharf yesterday, protesting, I have to say, very peacefully, quite why the police seemed to think a Section 43 was necessary and to prohibit them from going back within 28 days. And maybe it was the masked thugs from Antifa who perhaps they should have been focusing their attentions on. Just an observation, just a thought. But I do think one of the things that's happened over the course of the last few weeks is, without doubt, we're definitely seeing not just high-profile women coming to reform, and you've seen one or two of those on the stage here and in Wales over the course of the last few weeks. But I think generally out there, I think there is grave concern, particularly amongst mothers, about their teenagers, whether they can let them out. So yes, I think this is perhaps this issue has spoken a truth to people that they've been feeling increasingly for some time, and I think that maybe changes the complexion of how people view reform. You know, the sort of, when I came back into this last June, people regarded it as being a bit of a blokish party. Something to do with my reputation, I can't quite think why. But I think that's changing, and changing very rapidly, and this campaign is very much a part of that. Anna Gross, Financial Times.
I'll do it without this.
All right.
Have you received any communications from J.D. Vance or other members of the US administration saying they support your policy of repealing the Online Safety Act? And a second, if I may, will all reform-led councils block the use of HMOs to accommodate asylum seekers? Is that already a policy? Is it something that you're starting to do?
Yes, we were absolutely, all those councillors, all those nearly 700 councillors that were elected back on May the 1st this year, absolutely. And it's quite a debate, isn't it? Because whilst it's the hotels that have the visibility, and that's where the protests happen, in some ways the HMOs are even worse than the hotels, because you're
next door, they're over the road, you don't know where they are. And this is the problem, is that in Warwickshire, in the north of the county where I'm from, Nuneaton, Bedworth, we don't have a Margaret Hotel, but we've got loads of HMOs that are increasingly popping up. But in the south of the county, there's loads of Margaret Hotels. People have had enough. You know, like I said during the campaign, we have